Want to see your ROI on traffic steadily tick up? Then stop making these mistakes on your conversion rate optimization tests. First, testing things that don't matter. For example, button color. It's already been decided. Pick a color with a high contrast ratio and you're good. Testing won't move the needle any further. Same with small copy changes. In this case, it's go big or go home. Test video, test wildly different hero images, test layouts, test an entire copy rewrite. You get it. Second, not using minimum criteria for calling a test. No one except for, hopefully, CRO pros does this. That's why pros have programs that produce an uptick in ROI on ad spend and yours remains flat. Your results are mostly false positives. To start, stop using the phrase statistically significant. Unless you are sure that you are using frequentist statistics, you have pre-selected a valid sample size, and you have not ended the test early, then your results are not statistically significant. If you're using a program like VWO or Optimizely, then you're probably using Bayesian statistics, which calculates a confidence level. So you need a target confidence level. Mine is 90%. That means that 10% of my calls are going to be wrong. Most of the time, that means that I'll say that there is a difference between variations when none actually exists. Sometimes, though, it means that I picked the wrong variation. That's just how it goes. Welcome to stats where nothing is for certain. Second, you need a minimum number of conversions per variation. Mine is 200. If that sounds like a lot, then check out my video on why you should not invest in CRO. Honestly, 200 is even low. I prefer to have more and to wait for the trend line to stabilize. But that's not realistic for all of my clients, and I ascribe to the philosophy that it's better to be right even 75% of the time than not to test at all. So, to sum it all up, if you are testing, you are looking for 90% confidence with over 200 conversions per variation. Third mistake. Remember how I just said that you need at least 200 conversions per variation? Third mistake is testing only micro conversions. I did not mean 200 micro conversions like engagements or clicks. I meant purchases. If that's out of reach, then at the very least, monitor purchases so that you can make sure that there's not a decrease there when there's an increase in a micro conversion like checkout page views. Why? Let me give you an example. I recently did a redesign of a sales event page. Massive increase in checkout page views. Drop in purchase rate. That indicated that something was wrong, so I double-checked everything and found that the event location and dates were not displaying correctly, so people were going to the checkout page looking for them. If I hadn't been monitoring purchases, I would have released that variation and we would have seen a major dent in revenue. Which brings me to my fourth mistake, which is running tests with bugs. Technology is weird. Platforms interact weirdly. The date and location not displaying in my previous example were bugs that were causing my tests to fail. The more complex a change, like an entire redesign, the more likely you are to introduce bugs. I have QA experts who check on as many browsers and devices as possible. I recommend that you check at least on Chrome, Firefox, Safari, and Edge, and on a large monitor, a small monitor, an Apple phone, and an Android phone. Alright, the fifth one is running consecutive variations instead of split testing the variations. Sites without a lot of traffic tend to do this. It is not valid. You cannot make a change and then compare conversion rate before and after. It does not work. Don't believe me? Pull up your conversion rate month by month and look at the massive variation there, even week by week. That's called randomness, and it's why we do split tests with a minimum criteria. That controls for some of the randomness. Okay, a bonus mistake, running overlapping tests. This one is a little complicated. A CRO secret is that the stats can sometimes get a little sloppy, because they can. This is not pharma. No one's life is on the line. And this is one of those areas. Technically, a visitor should only see one test, unless it's a multivariate test, and those just eat up a ton of traffic. Realistically, I limit it to one test per page and run 2 or 3 tests on a site at a time. As long as no visitor is seeing 2 tests on the same page, it's good enough for me. There are, of course, a ton more mistakes. These are just my top 6. And yes, I know I said 5, that's because 5 does better in titles. So if you like these, comment below and I'll do 5 more.